I am trying to make an actual TV show.
It's so hard to find a funny show that isn't filthy. I watch them, but I don't want to.
Let's do this.
Fire, like lots of fire.
So dedicated.
So cool. Where's it go from there, you know?
Oh, have I got your attention now?
This is bigger than you can handle.
You got any plans for tonight?
Boom. What are you waiting for? Let's go.
Cool? Absolutely!
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Hello, everyone. Oh, come on. We're here at the Legacy and Television panel. Hello, everyone. There we go. There's some energy in the room. I'm Randy Kleiner.
And I'm Kaylee Smith.
And we are the co-founders of SeriesFest. Thank you so much, all of you, for being with us here. It is SeriesFest Season 10, Day 3. We are so ecstatic. We have a jam-packed lineup today. And for the next 2 days, hope you'll continue to come back and see things. How many of you is this their first panel at SeriesFest? Quite a few. That's amazing. Well, we're so thrilled to welcome you here. Just a couple of quick thank yous first. First of all, to this. Am I off? Oh, there we go. I'm very loud anyway, if you haven't figured that out. Thank you to the SeriesFest staff. They are a small but mighty team that puts this festival on. So a huge thank you to the staff. And to our volunteers. We have over 150 volunteers that donate their time, and we could not put on this festival without them. Thank you to the volunteers. And finally, thank you to the Denver Film and their staff, from the projectionists to the house managers, theater managers, everyone. They really become a part of our team for the 5 days of the festival, and we're so thrilled to have an incredible partner in Denver Film. Thank you. And of course, for today, thank you to ABC, Hulu, and to the incredible Shondaland.
So when Randy and I decided to start this festival 10 years ago, we had this dream of creating a community, a place where artists could meet other artists, where artists could meet executives. And today is really a special day for us because this is somewhat of a culmination of that. It was also our mission to uplift other women artists. And it started with a single panel. I believe it was season 3. And we did a panel with a bunch of women working in the industry talking about what it was like being a woman working in the industry. And afterwards, one of the panelists came up to me and she said, "I love what you're doing. Can I please introduce you to Allison Eckel at Shondaland?" And I was like, "Yes, you can introduce me to someone at Shondaland. Thank you, that would be wonderful." So Randy and I walk into this meeting not knowing what to expect, and we sit down with Allison and her colleagues, and they start telling us about Shonda and Shondaland and how they work as a company. And we were both just so incredibly moved and impressed with how Shonda lifts everyone up from within her team, and how her assistant then was writing on a show. And I'm like sitting here thinking, like, how do we get into Shondaland? How do we become one of those assistants to be lifted up? And in the room, I just said and pitched the idea, would you ever do a mentorship? And they were like, yeah, actually we would. And over the course of the next couple weeks, Randy and I met with Allison and their team, and we talked about what that would look like. And what came out of it was our women directing mentorship.
And it is Thank you. And it is 5 years of this incredible partnership. So how it works is we open for submissions. We receive submissions from all over, hundreds of them. And every female director, oh my gosh, what's happening there? Every female director has to submit a personal video essay along with samples of their work. We review every single one with the Shondaland team. We narrow it down to 10 finalists, and then we select a winner. And we've never done this in person and live before, but we've got all 10 of our women directing finalists here with us today. And I'm going to bring up somebody who's been incredibly, who's been leading this from the Shondaland side. He is one of those people that He's so passionate about this program and what we do, and it makes that so special. Every single person that he talks to, works with, has nothing but incredible things to say about him. He's been a tremendous partner to SeriesFest, and I'm so thrilled that he's here with us in person. So please welcome Tom Verica.
Is that working? There we go. Thank you. Thank you, Randy, Kaylee, and the entire SeriesFest team. You guys are absolutely amazing. Claire, Lauren, over the years, I've gotten to see a lot of pretty phenomenal directors. And past winners like Jennifer Morris and Tamika Miller, and last year's winner, Rain Harris. Rain, are you here? It's really been extraordinary to see kind of the future and some really kind of amazing talents coming up through here, and we've been able to sort of work with and employ sometimes. This year, the work of these directors' applicants was truly extraordinary, and it was really difficult to pick just one. The 10 that we had were all extraordinary, and as Randy said, they're all here tonight. Can I ask all 10 of you to please stand up and everyone give them a round of applause? There should be a link to watch each of these films. They're really terrific and all very, very different. On that note, Shondaland continues to be a storytelling company that is deeply rooted in uplifting diverse perspectives. And with that, we are excited to announce this year's winner. We are going to award the director's mentorship to, drumroll, Shelby Bartlestein. Come on down, Shel. Come on down. You're the next contestant. Her film, Pretty People. You're up.
Oh,
there you go. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Also, nice to meet you. And you guys, Mazel Tov. Can I hug you? Okay, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Oh my God, thank you.
I'm not someone who usually has a loss for words, and I'm thinking. I could not be more humbled and honored to have this opportunity. First of all of these women are extraordinary. Everyone needs to look them up, watch everything. When you work in this business, it can be a slog, and it can be hard to find your barrier of entry, right? And so this is just this incredible opportunity that's kind of unimaginable, frankly. And so thank you guys for having the chutzpah to start this 10 years ago, because that takes some fucking balls. Sorry, am I allowed to say that? Oops. And Tom, thank you so much. I'm just so excited. Thank you. I'm freaking out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and on to our main event for today. All right, who out there, like me, remembers where they were for episode 1, season 1 of Grey's Anatomy, right? I remember planning all of my Thursdays to make sure that I would not miss the start of Grey's Anatomy. Shondaland is such a tremendous and incredible company, and it started with this incredible show, the longest running medical drama in history, 20 seasons. I wanted to tell a sort of personal story here, but a few years ago I had to have a procedure and they had to keep me awake for it. And I was really, really nervous, but I started to calm myself down because I thought, wait a minute, I know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get all the hospital gossip. I'm gonna know who's banging who. I'm gonna know who's mad at who. This is gonna be phenomenal. So I get in there, I'm awake, and they're not talking about anything. I mean, they're talking about what's happening, but there's no gossip. I'm like, this is so boring. What's happening right now? They put me to sleep. I wake up. My dad is actually sitting next to me, and he said, how are you feeling? And I go, I wasn't allowed to move, but my eyes popped up, and I said, this hospital stinks. Take me to Grace Sloan Memorial. Anyway, this is truly a tremendous honor to be celebrating 20 seasons of Grey's Anatomy, to be celebrating Shondaland and our partnership. I'm gonna, before we bring up our amazing moderator, Jessica Radloff, the senior West Coast editor of Glamour, we're gonna just show a clip. All right, please welcome Jessica Radloff.
She should add seriously to that. Seriously. Guys, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I just had the chills watching that. I'm feeling so honored to be here with this tremendous group of cast and creatives. So, because this panel has been built as a one-of-a-kind panel, I want you to give them a one-of-a-kind welcome, starting with, he plays Dr. Owen Hunt. Please welcome Kevin McKidd. Woo! Hi, good. Long time no see. Yeah, give it up, you guys. Okay, she plays Dr. Teddy Altman. Please welcome Kim Raver. She plays Dr. Joe Wilson. Please welcome Camilla Luddingon. Yay, keep it going, you guys. I mean, 20 seasons. All right. He plays Dr. Richard Weber. Please welcome James Pickens Jr. The real OG. Yeah. Welcome, welcome. And then finally, she is the showrunner and executive producer. She joined the show at the end of season 2. So you gotta give it up because that is commitment, that is longevity. Please welcome executive producer and showrunner Meg Marinis. In case you're wondering, she started when she was 10 years old. I have an extra mic, I just realized. Here you go. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you guys for being here today, and congratulations on. Yeah, we should all like unlock our water together because I feel like it's just gonna
a shot.
They look like a giant beer. I know. Do I even have one?
Yeah, guys put beer in here.
Oh, it's not put over. Oh, this is real good. Okay, hold on.
Closed.
I just want to get it open before. Thank you. Okay.
There we go.
Okay. There we go. Okay. We're good now. Anyway, congratulations on 20 seasons, soon to be 21. That is so remarkable. I think, according to my is this working, by the way? No, it's not? No. Okay. All right, I'll talk. Here we go. Okay. According to my calculations, I think 430 episodes so far. Jim, does it feel like that, or does that feel like the most surreal number possible?
Feels like 840.
Wait, put your mic. Put your mic.
Oh, it feels like 840. No, wow. It's hard to put into words. I mean, from day one when we first started our first day of shooting till now, it's something else.
This is a question for everyone. How long did it take you to get a grasp on the fast-paced, intense nature of this series, and how has your prep changed now versus what it was when you first joined the show?
You looking at me?
Whoever wants to answer that first.
I'll jump in. I think, to understand this show, it's sort of, we're talking about being like a triple threat in a sense, because you have to learn the language of the medical language, but then you're also doing a whole kind of dance choreography with your hands when you're doing sort of the technical medical world. And we have incredible tech advisors. So you arrive on set. I mean, my first day, I remember, it's a very fast pace. It's like kind of like you're like thrown into like a Broadway musical. Like you arrive there and they're like putting on like a robe and like gloves, and because Teddy's a cardiothoracic surgeon, they put on, I had my scrub cap, but they also put on these special glasses which are like, they kind of bring focus even, so you can't even see the person next to you. And so it's like learning that dialogue, and then on top of it, sort of the interpersonal dialogue. So, it's funny because I think you get more comfortable with it through time, and you also know sort of what your character's specialty is. But the first time, it's just sort of this incredible like whirlwind of things that you have to do, and your brain has to work on like very high level of different things going on at once. And then if you don't know what you're doing, we have Boki, which all of the fans know who the amazing Boki is. And so literally, if I have a ton of dialogue and we're having like an interpersonal scene, I'll just stick my hand out and Boki will put the right instrument into my hand, and I'm like, bless you, keep going, and then I'll know what I'm doing. But it's definitely a whole dance step, and I think it gets easier with time. It's definitely, but each time there's new things that you're doing with your hands. So it's even though it's easier, it's still, you're learning it on the fly with the medical dialogue and the dance of your hands, and it definitely keeps it interesting.
I think coming on also, if you come on the show as an intern, you really, what people don't realize is you really do feel like an intern. Like that energy, you're like, I am so terrified right now because it's such an iconic show. And so I only started to feel more confident and comfortable when the next intern class came on. And I was like, you guys are new now and I'm not so new. And then that like gave me more but in the beginning, you really do feel like you're messing up. Like it's hard.
And then you got Linda Klein. Linda Klein is, how do you describe Linda Klein? I mean, it's hard to describe Linda Klein. She's our medical advisor, tech advisor.
She yells at us a lot.
She yells at us. She has this high-pitched voice. She's like, no, you're doing it wrong, you know.
But she has a heart of gold.
And she loves everyone.
All love, though.
And so she's, when you first meet Linda Klein, she's intimidating. You realize over the years that she has, you say she has a heart of gold, but she scares the bejesus out of you.
Yeah, she'll be like, you do not look like a doctor right now. And I'm like, I'm not
You're
a doctor.
bad doctor. Right?
You'll hear off camera, no!
Like, oh my God.
Jim, how long does it take you to memorize dialogue now? Is that a process that's gotten easier now that you're more familiar with the terminology for things?
Yeah and no. I think most of us have done the theater really prepared me for this, and I worked on a soap for years, and that's 30 pages of dialogue a day. Yeah. So you got to hit the ground running. So I think, to echo what Kim said, probably where we kind of put the rubber to the road was the medical ease, was learning that. And God bless Linda Klein. Every episode we would get a sheet of the terminology of whatever that particular medical ease was, and it was phonetically spelled out with the definition. And you better come and have it right, or she was going to let you know about it. So, but it's repetition, and just after a while it becomes organic, and you get a feel for it and a flow of it. And then if you flub it, you got your sides right there inside a body cavity. I'm like, oh, that's it right there, yeah. So,
We're all going to be looking for that now. The next scene to see, are there any pages of dialogue in here? By the way, I feel bad. I should have mentioned we are missing a member of the family today that was supposed to be on this panel, Caterina Scorsone. She's actually in flight right now from LA. Her flight was delayed, and she really wanted to be here, so we're so sad to miss her. Maybe she'll run in at the end. I have no idea, but wanted to make sure we gave her a shout out. Meg, I want to talk to you because your trajectory has been just incredible. What has your journey been like from joining in season 2, because you went in for an interview, didn't get that job, got a different job, and then working your way to showrunner now? I mean, what has this been like?
Can y'all hear me? Is it good? Okay. I still feel like the 22-year-old PA sometimes, but it's been great. Yeah, I interviewed to be Shonda Rhimes, one of Shonda Rhimes' assistants, and I didn't get that job. But they called me back like 5 days later, and they said, "Well, we're starting a different, PA job in the office," and that's the one that I got. I've been so many different roles on the show, whether it's PA or writer's assistant, researcher, staff writer. It's been like I feel like it's by now, if I was living in my parents' house, they would have kicked me out by now. It's 18 years, so I'm just really grateful that they still have me there. And it's been an amazing mentorship and training because I've been there for so long. I still learn things every day, like whether it's something about a camera lens or something about a set deck or something about medicine. It just feels like I've been with my family for a really long time, and I feel really, really grateful. And I'm just so glad that they all let me stay.
She has like Lexi knowledge of the
Yeah, I was
show.
gonna say,
It's
tell them
insane.
what-
She's like, yeah, that's episode 3, season 4, second set of. It's amazing. Like you really. It's like
We call her Megapedia. And that's no joke.
Also, you have to talk about, Meg and I did this really fun feature for Glamour about your career so far. Tell the audience about the scripts that you used to write when you were 12 years old, which I thought was the greatest thing ever.
It's kind of embarrassing. I was a big TV fan growing up, and I was a big ER fan, and so I wrote an ER script when I was 12 years old, which I'm pretty sure would be called fan fiction today. And I still have it. And I met the medical researcher for ER on the picket line. And I took a picture with her, and she thought I was crazy. I was like, "You're so awesome." I was like, "Can I talk to you for like 10 minutes about everything at ER?" But yeah, that's what I wrote. I was a big ER fan.
But that's what makes you so good at your job, because when we were doing this interview, Meg and I were talking, and we were like, oh my God, when you had Doug Ross go find Carol again, and then Ben, like, you have such an appreciation for this. Yeah. And you were writing this stuff way before you ever got this job.
I had no idea where it would go. And I will never show that ER script to anyone.
I want to talk about first impressions. What funny stories do you have about each other the first time you guys met? Is there somebody on this panel that you're like, God, the first time I met them, like, this is what I thought it was. Now I think something different. Like, what was it like? Do you remember first time you met? Whoever wants to go first.
I think when the first time I met, and Kevin and I were talking about it over at the photo line, the first time I met Kevin, I've been a fan of his. I don't know if he knew that or not, but I'd seen him on. He did a short-lived show called Rome, where he played a gladiator. He was amazing on it. And then he did The Journeyman, another one. And I kept saying, when he came onto the set, I said, "Oh man, he's the Spartacus guy." He's like, but he was so humble, and so he was kind of like, stepping into some uncharted waters here now. Show had been established. I think was it season 5. So we were up and running at that time. But he came in and just was the coolest guy. I was like, man, how can I rattle his cage a little bit? Get him, and say, okay, now you settled in now, But I think I introduced him to Patrick Dempsey and to Eric Dane and stuff, and that kind of got the ball rolling. And after that, I said, hey, he's got it. Now, next thing I know, now he's directing me. So I'm like.
I remember, she's not here, but Chandra Wilson, who plays Bailey, I remember her seeing her from a distance. I came in season 9, so the show is really well established, and being like, that's Bailey. Like, just terrified. Like, oh my. Like, I felt like, what is she? Is she like that character? That character's so intimidating for interns. And what's so funny about Chandra is she's like the mama of the cast, and she's so, Bailey's also got that energy too, but back in the day, I was a lot more scared of that character, and she's just the most wonderful, gentle, fantastic actress ever. So I do remember feeling that way about Chandra.
I remember just kind of the flip side of your story, Jim, because when I got offered the part, it was still DVD box sets that people watched then. Netflix didn't exist, which is crazy to think. So I watched the first 4-season box sets when I knew I had this gig. So I was really terrified coming in. And I'd done a film with Patrick, actually. I did a movie called Maid of Honor with Patrick the summer before. So I kind of knew Patrick a little bit. But Jim just, kind of, because Jim was the one, there was a scene that you can watch in the first episode where Jim introduces Owen Hunt to Derek Shepherd and Mark Sloan. And I was just kind of shaking in my boots, because Jim Pickens is Jim Pickens. He's a legend. and you were just so generous and so warm and welcoming to me, Jim. So thank you.
Kim, what was like for you when you first joined?
You know, it's funny because I had always admired the show. I was on another show called 24, and we were in the we were kind of in the circuits. And so it was sort of like these two teams. Like, you know, we would see each other at like the Emmys and like the Golden Globes, and like 24 tables here and Grey's Anatomy, and like it was always like this kind of like, you know, battle between the two shows, and we admired Grey's just immensely and everyone on the show. And then I finished 24, and I got the call to come to Grey's, and then I was terrified because then I had to come and meet everyone. And at the time, we would do these huge table reads in sort of like our sound stages. So imagine like a giant like airplane hangar, and it was kind of dark like this. And then like I walked in, and way in the distance was like this huge table with all the producers and the whole cast. And same thing, I was sort of shaking. I was just like, oh no, I would have to like sit at the table and like introduce myself and like read in front of everyone. And it's like, they've been here so long, and will they know that I'm from the, like sort of like the other team? Like, so I rounded the corner, and I remember Sandra Oh stood up, and she went around the whole table, and she was coming towards me. I was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Like, please accept me. And she gave me this enormous hug, and it was literally from that point on that I felt, you know, really kind of embraced by the cast. And her and I had so much together, because we kind of at the beginning were sort of, I thought it was going to be sort of like this rivalry thing because our characters had such a history, and Sandra just she's just such an incredible, welcoming, you know, wonderful human being. And I just thought that was such a generous move to be so inclusive and bring me into the family, so to speak. And so that, and then my first surgery, which was just bonkers. Yeah.
By the way, do you guys remember meeting Meg for the first time?
The thing I remember about Meg, I mean, I remember Meg being around for before I was, you know, but I remember I became a U.S. citizen. Me and my family became U.S. citizens, and we didn't work a bit together. But I remember there was this day we were in an OR, and Rob Corn he came in and had everybody had little American flags. And I was in my surgery outfit, and we're covered in blood. And Meg, I remember you bought me like an American flag as a gift, and also some what was that beer?
Shinerbach, Texas beer.
Yeah, Texas beer. It was like a welcome to being an American. And that's when, like, I remember that was the first moment I was like, oh, Meg's really cool.
That's funny, because actually when I started, like, some of the actors were like, here are the cool writers. And it was like this person, and Meg was always like included in like, you're gonna love her, she's cool. So she had that reputation.
You are a cool writer. By the way, Jim, I want to talk to you also about the Emmys this past January, because the reception that you got, along with Chandra and Ellen and Katie Heigl and Justin Chambers reuniting on that stage. I mean, the entire Glamour office in New York was freaking out. It was like, that was the piece that everybody was most excited to read about for us at the Emmys that night, was that reunion. What did it feel like for you to be on stage with them and to get that reception?
Oh, it was pretty amazing. It was, you know, first of all, to see Katie again and Justin and Ellen, and to know the journey that we undertook with this thing it's hard to put into words. And you know, we kind of take for granted, I know I have in the past, how important relationships are in this business, and because they are so fleeting, I mean, because of what we do is so transient, that when you make those relationships and you make those connections, you know, they have a lasting impression on you. So to see them, for us to be all together there again, these 20-some seasons later, it was really special. And I got a little choked up there about it. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time.
That's so sweet to hear. I went through and rewatched everybody's first episode. I wrote down your first. I had to, like, this is the 20th anniversary panel. I had to prep big time for this, even though I've always been a fan of the show. But I went back and rewatched all your first episodes, your first lines that you said on the show, dates. So I'm going to go through, and I want to see how much you remember. Okay. All right. Should I start with Kevin first or with Jim? Okay, Kevin. Do you remember what air date your first episode was?
Okay, so it was just after the second to last major writer strike, so that was 2008? 2007.
Uh-huh.
2007.
Into
So we would have aired the date? You want me to remember the date?
I mean, I don't know. I wrote everything down, so I don't know. Maybe you...
The month?
Okay.
It would have been September.
September
20,
25th,
2007. 2008.
2008.
It was 2008.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Season 5 premiere. Bernadette Peters guest starred on that episode.
That's right, yeah. I wasn't in scenes with her, but I met her.
The fire and ice ball.
Yep.
See?
Megapedia. Megapedia right there.
Oh my God, so crazy.
You were in camo fatigues. Do you remember your first? You actually had one word. You didn't really have a line. You had one word. She knows it.
I remember.
Wait,
I remember.
What is it? Hold on. Tell me. Wait. Don't say it out. Okay. She knows. All right, Kevin, go.
I was in this position. I was coming out of the ambulance, and I was blowing it into a ballpoint pen into this, and Sandra Oh goes to me. She's looking up, and she goes, "You just tricked a guy in the field with a ballpoint pen," and I go, "So."
Yes.
That was the
first
line.
draft of that script had the word "so" in it like 30 times, and we had to do like a "so" pass.
A so bad. Yeah.
Yeah, Shonda really wanted him to just have one-word answers, right? Just so.
So. Is there a line or a scene that fans most want to talk to you about when they meet you?
Probably, the scene. I think the scene that I was most terrified about, and I think it was kind of like it felt like this knife's edge, of like this character is either going to stick around or he's going to be gone pretty fast. is the scene where my character has a dream where he's, his PTSD, and he wakes up strangling Sandra Oh's character. And I remember that a lot of people at the time were like angry at me, and people would come up to me and be like, "You're a bad man," and like, "I don't like you," and da-da-da. And I was like, I kept saying to Shonda, I think, she was like, "Trust us, we've got you, it's fine, we've got you." And I was like, "I don't know, Shonda, people seem pretty mad at me."
That's funny. Okay, Kim, do you remember when your first air date was?
Oh my God, with the air date, I can't even remember my kids. Okay, when was your son born? Okay, I'm gonna work backwards. So when was your first?
Mine was September 2008.
So mine must have been, I think, 2000. So 8 September 9, 2010 in the 2009. 2009 in the spring. Okay, 2009.
November.
We got
12th.
that. Let's move on. Next question.
November 12th, 2009, season 6, episode 9.
Oh, so that answers that. We were trying to figure it out the other day.
Okay, do you remember what Christina Yang referred to your character as? She called you something.
A cardio gift? Cardio god gift?
Well, that too, but this I thought was great. She referred to Teddy as, do you know, Meg?
Meg will know.
I thought it was something that
I thought she said she looked into the trauma room. I had a hand inside a patient.
Were you like GI Barbie or something?
Yes.
That's
Whoa!
not how she referred to me.
Desert Storm Barbie.
Desert Storm Barbie. That's right.
I think that was I thought that was with Callie and Jessica Capshaw's character when they're like Desert Storm.
Just watched it.
Well, that was what was on the Hulu
Like she
version.
literally just saw the episode.
Maybe on Netflix it's a different
I think we have to
version.
go out and have a drink together and confer, because I feel like I remember she leans in, she looks at the trauma room, she's like, "Oh, you brought me a cardio gift present."
That's true. And then she also said she's Desert Storm Barbie.
All right, I'll give it to you.
That's the Hulu episode at least. So, okay, do you remember your first line?
Something about the patient. I didn't want to lose him or something.
Yeah. That's really good.
I'm getting closer. Any hints? Something like push one epi because I don't want to. I'm not gonna lose him. And I literally came in. I was like standing up over. I should do what you did. I was like up over the patient, doing the sort of CPR. They were at the. I don't remember my.
Come on. I don't want to lose him.
Okay, that's it.
You did
that's
it.
it. Come on, I don't want to lose him.
Yeah, very good. By the way, I was also, yes, thank you.
I'm going to lose this game, you guys.
You didn't know you were going to act out scenes up here, did you? Also, when I was doing the research, this is just a very random fun fact that I want to know if it's true. You were on Sesame Street for 3 seasons, starting at age 6?
It's
What?
true.
I just learned
Kept that
this
quiet.
the other week. I was like, "What puppet were you?" And you were like, "I wasn't a puppet."
I'm gonna look
That's
this up.
because you're a dinosaur at home. Like,
That's amazing. I love that. Okay, Camilla, ready?
Yeah.
Do you remember your first air date?
Oh, my air date?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it would have had to have been 2012 September. Yeah.
September 27th, 2012.
Okay. Yeah.
The season 9 premiere.
Yeah. Season 9 premiere right after the plane crash.
I like though you're feeding it to her. I didn't get that.
Well, she seemed on the right track.
got it right.
Wait, before I ask you about your first line, I just recently watched a video where you said you auditioned with both a British and American accent. How did you ever find out how they determined which accent you would use?
I think it's because Jo was ended up being a foster child, and it wouldn't have made sense if she was British. I think it's her backstory. I'm assuming. I auditioned for Shonda both. I'm from England. I've lost my accent. I know. It's because of Jo Wilson. I've been playing her for 12 years, and at this point, it's like kind of gone, or very gone. I auditioned both ways. And then I remember getting the call that I got the role, and I was like, amazing. I'm like, is she American? Is she British? And they're like, we'll call you right back. Like, they didn't know, but Betsy's here somewhere. Betsy, you could probably, I don't know what determined American or British for that. That's true. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. So yes. Yeah, it just made more sense. But that's right. I met Shonda and Betsy before that during pilot season. I auditioned for a pilot called Gilded Lilies, and it got down to me and another girl, and I was doing True Blood at the time, and I didn't get it, and I was so sad. And then I got a call that to come in and audition for one of the new interns, and thankfully here I am 12 years later.
And by the way, can we give it up for Betsy Beers, who
Hey,
is
hey,
here in
hey,
the
hey.
audience, and
Yes.
television is so much better because of you and Shonda. So thank you for all you've given us, truly. Okay,
First
Camilla,
line?
yeah, your first line.
I know that I come out of the elevator and I run down the hallway to Stephanie, and I'm like, I think I say something like, Steph, hey, did I tell you your hair looks great? Could you do my scut for a week or something like that? Something along those lines. Because I don't want to, it's Medusa. I don't want to be on Meredith's, I don't want to be on her service. Yeah.
That sounds good. I mean, the first
That is
You should be a writer.
I think you might have said that after, but the first line was, Steph, I need a favor.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
So close. Yeah. So close.
So, and then I compliment her. I think I'm like, I'll do your scut for a week. Your hair looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was also the episode where Mark Sloan died. You remember that?
No, I think that was the next episode. I think that was 2.
No, they took him off life support in that episode.
On
And they
that,
had the
I love that we're trying to correct you.
it was
and
a
you've
slow
been
death.
watching it.
no,
We're
but
like,
I swear
wait
the
a
goodbye
minute.
episode was 2.
They aired. We did episode 1, and then we went back in time in episode 2.
Two.
Oh, that's why he was still there. Okay, yeah. So we're both kind of right.
You know we're gonna go back tonight and be like,
I know.
she was like, wait, oh, she was right.
We're gonna have a viewing party.
Horrible episode to start it.
I know.
Like, everyone's like, who's she? Get her out of here.
What is the scene or episode that fans most want to talk to you about when they meet you?
There's an episode that was a standalone for Jo where she met her mom, and it was with you. Yeah, it was with you. Debbie Allen directed, and I think the episode name was the
Crisis Hotline.
the Crisis Hotline to Rain, and we had the wall of women, and we had a sexual assault victim, and we learned that Jo was a product of rape, and we talked about abortion. we talked about, so that really is the episode that a lot of fans talked to me about for sure.
Truly one of the most remarkable episodes of television
really
that
proud
is
of that
ever aired. It was, yeah. And also the level of compassion that you felt from this, and Kim, you were very much involved with that episode too, and it just truly remarkable. Okay, Jim.
I'm terrified. I want you to know that right now.
You can't get like the episode number wrong. There's that.
Yeah.
Do you remember the premiere date?
Okay, I want to say because we were mid-season. We came on before Desperate Housewives, so I want to say March-ish, somewhere in there.
March 27th,
Yeah.
2005.
Bam!
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about your first line? You had the longest. I had to really cram it in here. Do you remember?
I introduced our interns. I said, this is your arena. This is, I opened the OR door, and that's as far as I got.
If I start you off,
yeah,
will you
start
remember?
me off,
Okay.
start me off.
Each of you comes here today hopeful.
All right.
A month ago.
Yeah, a month ago you were resident. You were students. You were
close in med school.
In med school.
Yeah. Being taught.
This was 20 years
by
ago.
doctors.
I can't remember what I had for breakfast now, but
today you are those doctors.
Yeah.
Do you have anything from the pilot episode that you've kept?
That I kept?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I think I kept those clogs. I think I still have the clogs I wore.
Do you really?
I think I still have them. Yeah, we had clogs before they upped the game and gave us sneakers. But I think I still have those clogs. Yeah.
You could make some good money off of that. Not that you haven't already, but you could. I mean,
I can. Yeah, for sure.
A Gray Sloan Memorial fundraiser.
There you go.
Put that in it. I do want to talk also about the prep and the research and the accuracy that goes into all of these medical cases that you guys produce each week. It's truly remarkable what you come up with, and then you find storylines around it. I don't know quite how you do that, but Meg, since you are the encyclopedia, what is that like, the process behind the scenes to come up with these cases, which they're all very accurate and true?
So we go about it several different ways. It kind of depends on who the writer is and kind of how their process is. But sometimes we read about an amazing case in a medical journal or a news outlet, and we think, okay, this is what we want to do on the show. This is so cool. Like the episode that aired, episode 4 of this season When Arizona Comes, that was a true medical case that we read about, and the doctor who even did the procedure came and helped us shoot the procedure. Or we'll say, okay, we want these two doctors to work together. What if, I think one of the most famous anecdotes is when Shonda was just wondering what would happen if a big thing of cement just fell on someone. And that became the genesis of Cement Boy, which is at the end of season 4, which is a very iconic case for the show. So sometimes it would just be these crazy ideas that would come out of the writers' heads, and sometimes we read about an actual case. And either way, we speak to our doctors in the room. Our researcher goes and hits the books. I mean, the internet, but books. We get all of our research done. We talk to actual experts. If it's about a hand surgery, we call a hand surgeon. And there's a lot of conversations well, that would never happen. And then we say, could it? And then we kind of go back and forth. Obviously, we always err on the side of accuracy, but we have multiple doctors in the writers' room. We have 5 surgical consultants that read every script. We talk to Hollywood Health and Society, who's affiliated with USC. We do a lot of work with them and connecting us to experts. And then we have a ton of prep meetings before we start shooting the episode. An infamous meeting called Medical Props, which is a 3.5-hour meeting, which is the scariest prep meeting ever, because we go through every single scene and talk about what medical equipment we need. And Linda Klein, who kind of takes the helm on set for all the medical scenes, and she's got an amazing department and team. and she works with the cast. She works with the guest cast that come in, just to get everything right. And then, you know, we have her and her team watching every single shot. And if something looks like a little out of place, you know, we go again and we correct it. So there's a ton of prep work.
And I heard that Shonda actually had all of you, or you have throughout the years, watched real life surgeries. What have you watched or seen, and what was that like?
Well, you know, I didn't actually watch a surgery. I think that was Patrick and Isaiah when they were on the show. I know they went to see one, but I went to the hospital downtown L.A. and I followed the chief of surgery around for the day, and I remember a gentleman coded, and they had to bring in the crash cart. And the thing that struck me most about these guys was the calmness, you know. And they had some residents in there, and the chief of surgery kind of sat back and said, "Okay, let me kind of see what you do here." And I just thought that was the coolest thing. And then the guy lived. He had a cardiac, and they brought him back. And I just said, I need to change professions.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember I went with one of my interns on the show, Gaius, and I remember thinking that, like, okay, we're going to watch a real surgery before we start filming the show, but we'll be up in the gallery. Like, that's where people watch, right? And then they had us walk into the room. It was a guy that was undergoing triple heart bypass surgery, yeah. And I stood at his head. They had me stand at his head and look down to the chest cavity, and then watch as they they cauterize through all the fat, and then they crack the chest open, and I could see the heart. And it was so overwhelming for me that I remember turning to Gaius and being like, "There's an earthquake," because I was shaking. And he was like, "No, there's not an earthquake." I was physically shaking so hard the whole time. And what struck me is that just like our show, they're like, "Hey, what do you want for lunch?" And they were ordering sandwiches as they were doing. And I was like, what is going on? Like, this is so crazy. But for them, it was just another day. And they were confident in what they were doing. But I definitely, and you had the same thing. You had the same experience.
Yeah, I mean, we're really lucky that we get to go into, actual surgeries. And because I play a cardiothoracic surgeon, same thing. It was open heart surgery. And, at first they were like, okay, just stand against the wall. And I remember that morning, I was like saying to my husband, I was like, do I eat? Do I not eat? Like, how long is it going to be? And everyone was telling, like, make sure you go to the bathroom. Like, don't eat a lot because you might get, like, really queasy. And you have to put on scrubs also just for, just to keep anything and everything, clean and sterile. And so then the surgeon, once, and I remember as Teddy, I had to use a saw. And I was like, really, a saw? Like, and I was doing a scene with Ellen, and like, you really go through the bones. And so they started that saw, and I was like, oh my God! But I was like, stay calm, stay calm, stay calm. And I remember leaning against that wall, and like, you don't want to be that actor who like all of a sudden like blacks out. Like, so you're just like trying to like tough it like out. And so then like, hey, Kim, step on up. And I was like, step on up? Step on up where? They're like right at the head. And same sort of thing, you're standing above like a human being that is completely wide open. And I was doing really fine, and I kind of like separated my feet so that I didn't like faint into the person. And then they cauterize. It's that little kind of like heat source where they do cut through the skin. And I was just like, oh God, please. I was like, please don't throw up in the body of this gentleman. I was like,
the smell.
Hold it together, Raver.
The smell.
And the
Yeah.
smell
The smell.
is so intense, strong, and it's so. I was like, you gotta buck up. Like, you're here to get like medical. You don't want to be that first person of Grey's Anatomy who like throws up into a patient, and then they like you. So I was like, thank you so much. I'm just gonna go stand against the wall. And I remember it was so like surgical rooms are freezing. And when I first got in there, I was frozen. At this point, like the heat, like I literally thought I was gonna faint. So I just remember kind of like up against the wall. I was green. The doctor's like, you okay? I'm like, yep, fine. I'm really good. This is really fantastic. And I was, thank God I didn't eat breakfast that morning. Yeah, that was my day.
By the way, did I say your last name wrong? How did you just say your last name?
Raver.
Okay, good. That's what I thought I said. And but it sounded like Reaver, and I was like, wait, did I say it wrong? And then I feel terrible. Okay, good. I said Raver. Okay. Kevin, how about you?
I mean, I've followed a lot of quite a few trauma surgeons, or around the chief trauma thing around trauma centers. But I remember the worst one for me. It was similar to what you guys were talking about. Was I was going to an open heart surgery. And I was terrified.
Why are we all going to open heart
It was all
surgery?
open heart.
Are there like a bunion removal? That
And,
we could,
I was like, I'm gonna
watch?
be fine. I'm gonna be fine. I'm tough.
She's shaking her
and
head.
I'm totally like,
I
I'm
have
tough.
no
I've done all Rome and chopped people's heads off and all this stuff. I'm fine. And I started to get terrified. I'm putting scrubs on, and I'm slowly getting closer to this OR. And I get into the OR, and it's freezing cold, and I start shaking, and I start feeling queasy before the patient even comes in, and my heart's pounding, and I'm like, and they come up to me and they say, "We're so sorry, Mr. McKidd, but the patient has to sign a waiver to allow you into the room, and we forgot to get it before we put them under, so you have to go." And I was like, "That's fine. No, I'm good. I'm good. No, I'll go. No, I'm fine. No, I'm good." And I got out of there real fast.
Oh my! I can't even imagine, by the way, what it's like for you guys to go to actual doctor's appointments for yourselves. Like, do they send you in a different entrance? Like, if someone sees you in
we're
the waiting
correcting
room,
them. We're like, wait a minute. Are you sure when the
No, I feel like everyone in every hospital in America watches the show, though. So when you go in, it's like it's a little bit intense. But no, there's no other entrance. We're going in with everyone else.
Kim, Kevin, talk about, you both direct on the show. What is that collaborative experience like with Meg, with the other writers, with the cast, once you take on these roles?
Kevin has done. I mean, by the grace of this incredible group. I mean, Kevin has done 41 episodes. Do you want to speak to it first?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. One of the beautiful things about our show is there is such a collaborative feeling, and there's such a feeling of support, and there's also so many women doing incredible jobs. And I feel like before coming to Shondaland, I was in a lot of shows that were very male-driven and incredible shows. But one of the things that I love is that I see so many women in it just really doing a diverse amount of jobs there. And I kind of liken it to the medical thing of, like, in the medical world, it's see one, do one. So I sort of took that to heart, and I was like, see one, be one. And because there's such incredible people like Betsy Beers and Debbie Allen and Meg, and really in high positions there, that there is this sense of, oh, there's possibility. And then not only with possibility, there's training, right? Because that's that combination that you want to be set up for success. And I feel like Grey's really does that well. So for me, I because Kevin and I have so many scenes together, literally like 2 or 3 years ago, I kind of became like those fish on like I was like stuck to Kevin, like, because he would watch feedback when he was directing. He would watch playback. So we would do a scene together, and then I would zig right over to do playback with him, and I would watch everything that Kevin was doing. And then with Debbie, and Debbie Allen is just an incredible force, and you really have to earn it with her. There's no like, oh, sure, you can have an episode. You really, really have to earn it. So I felt like the moment that I was given the opportunity, I felt incredibly prepared, and I felt so grateful also for Meg, because it wasn't like I was given some small episode. I was given a huge episode where there was 2 stunts. It was about women's reproductive rights. Kate Walsh was coming. It was really just an incredible, massive episode. And I felt like the crew were so incredibly supportive for me to expand kind of my vision and my ability and my capabilities. And I loved being able to also, direct the people that I work
Did
every
you love
day-
directing us that episode?
I really did.
we kind of went loopy towards the end.
Oh, I mean, there was like moments where I was like, I mean, it was really, you know, it
was a
is
hard
also incredible.
episode.
It was a really hard episode, but I felt like I really felt like the crew and everyone, the crew had my back. No, I really felt like everyone had my back, and I think, and I'm also really incredibly grateful because I felt like I had to earn it so that by the time I was there, I felt really prepared. And Kevin even saw that you have to be sponsored in order to be in the DGA, and it was a really touching and emotional moment for me. Because Kevin was one of my sponsors, which was a really big moment. Yeah.
You killed it, Kim. I mean, listen, I've directed a bunch, and it's funny, the 41st episode I just did, still can't believe it's 41 episodes.
Congratulations.
Chandra Wilson gave me a tie, saying because to commemorate that I had tied, and I had my name in 41 episodes, that I tied with Rob Corn, because Rob Corn was our original showrunner, who... Yeah, like a directing producer who had directed 41 episodes, so I'm now tied with him. So my next episode, I'll have directed more episodes of Grey's than anybody else, which is crazy.
But didn't he say something really sweet when he
But
called?
Rob Corn called me and he said, because Rob Corn famously he's a brilliant director, but he famously works very long hours. He makes people work long hours. And he said to me on the phone, he came on the FaceTime as I was getting this tie on set. It was just 3 weeks ago. And he said, Kevin, you may have tied me for the number of episodes, but you'll never beat me in the number of hours worked. And I was like, yeah, that's true, Rob.
And working fast in this business is, everyone is super grateful. I mean, everyone just loves when Kevin's directing because, you'll get home for dinner.
But no, it's
Sam,
been,
you
I mean...
also made your days.
Yeah, you did. But no, I mean, what's great about this company and Shondaland, to be serious for a minute, is that the amount of people like Meg and myself, when I was a British actor, I was this Scottish kind of, like working class actor, and in Britain there's a class system, and I always felt like there was a glass ceiling in my career, and I would never rise above it because you're in a certain class bracket in the UK and Shondaland and the way they've come in and allowed me, and Shonda supported me being a director. I shadowed Tom Verica and a bunch of other people in the shadowing system, and the way that you've risen up and the way that I've gotten to... I mean, there's things that have happened for me in my life that I never dreamed of. So it's really a testament to Shondaland and to that ethos of having internally elevating people and seeing where they can go, So it's I feel so grateful.
I love that. I was going to say, too, I don't know if you remember this episode. I remember interviewing Sarah Drew, who played April, once, and there was an episode where her character was out of town, and she asked for a breast pump to be in the scene because she said she wasn't talking about the breast pump in the scene, but she just wanted it to be seen so that other women could feel that this was a normal thing, that women have to breast pump and all the things they have to bring with them when they go on trips. And you directed that episode, Kevin, and she talked about how it was so wonderful working with you in the collaboration because you were like, let's make sure we have a wide shot and we can see this. And these are the little things that add up to create change. Absolutely. And it's what you have did you remember that episode?
Yeah, I do. It was a great episode, and it's. I think you can talk about this. It's like there's a kind of. It's not a joke. It's true that like, Shondaland is the best place for actresses to have a job, and to have children as well, and it not be a thing that's a problem or a difficult. Like the old archetype of the way this industry has worked. And I think we, in small ways and big ways, I think the show has really, and the environment has really just raised that up, and that message is very strong and at the front.
We should talk about our DP, Jean.
Yeah, Jean. Yeah,
she could be having a baby any second.
Our DP, Jean, is female, and she is pregnant. Well, she was 7 months by the time we were done shooting.
She's due this week. Yeah, she's due this week.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, I asked 2 days ago. There was no baby yet.
And she worked, really up until, and it's so interesting because I was pregnant for a couple shows that I was doing, and it really had to kind of hide it, and I had to really, be one of the guys and not be a problem. And meanwhile, I was like 8 months pregnant, and and it was so amazing and great to see Jean. I mean, it's long hours. You're standing on your feet. You're leading your team, and it just was great to see an environment that was incredibly supportive of women who can be mothers and also can be badasses in their jobs. You know.
My son, there's an amazing picture of my son at 9 months, and he's sitting in the middle of a conference table in the middle of a prep meeting, and he's just tearing up pieces of the call sheet, like entertained, while like I'm having a prep meeting. So there's been a lot of babies born on the show.
I remember calling Shonda and telling her I was pregnant. I was very nervous still. I had thrown up on set, and I thought, oh my God, they're gonna think I'm hungover. And I was like, I have to tell her. And I was really early on still. I remember calling her, and I remember the first thing she said is, "We love babies at Shondaland." And I was like, this is just like, where am I? This is such a dream. This is still a while. This is 2017. This is a while ago.
Like, I know.
Yeah. What date was I pregnant? And no, but it really is true that like Betsy, everyone's so incredibly supportive of women and babies on our set. It's really amazing.
I love that so much. Okay, so I came up with a fun. I thought this is a little fun game. I don't know how they're gonna feel after this. But
do better. We're gonna score better on this one. Okay.
I was at the 200th episode red carpet back in 2013, so roughly almost 11 years ago, and I was asking everybody superlatives kind of on set. And I want to see if some of you answered some of these questions, if the same answer rings true now of who you would answer, and some of the other actors said it about you. So, okay, it'll make more sense when I ask. Who has the most difficulty memorizing medical jargon? Jim, you go first.
I'm trying to say if he's still on. I was going to say Justin.
Yeah, I would say Justin.
I was going to say Justin Chambers when he was on the show.
Well, who now of the
Who
cast?
now?
Yeah.
Shucks. Might be me. I don't know. That's a good, gosh. Who was it? I mean, because we've all been on a
pretty
solo.
good.
Pretty good at it. I don't know. Who?
I'm just kidding.
Meg, who is it? Tell us.
Meg knows.
Who is it, Meg?
Yeah, in the blooper reel.
She
watches the
We can tell
dailies.
in the blooper reel dailies.
Meg.
I would think probably one of the new interns right
Yeah,
now.
Okay.
I won't single anyone out.
Well, when I asked Chandra Wilson, she said, he's going to kill me, but it's Kevin McKidd.
She's right. She's right.
No way.
I've gotten better.
And then, do you remember who you said, Kevin?
I think I
At
probably.
the time?
I think I probably said Patrick.
Nope.
Maybe Justin. Yeah.
You said Justin and yourself.
Yeah.
You said we're kind of equal.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Which cast member is always in need of caffeine?
Me.
Is this now or 200 episodes?
Well,
or when?
Answer it now, and then I'll tell you what. Kevin and Jim and Camilla said in the past.
Well, I know the past.
Okay.
It must be Justin.
You said Justin Chambers. He drinks
Red
like
Bull.
5 Red Bulls a day.
Yeah, Red Bull.
His Red Bull obsession.
he was Red Bull.
Now I feel like it must be one of the interns. I feel like it's probably an intern.
The poor interns can't answer for themselves.
They're not here.
They're not here.
I think it is though. I feel like we don't drink a lot of coffee anymore.
I do love coffee.
Do you?
Kim
I
loves her
talk about
coffee.
coffee a
Okay,
lot.
maybe
Yeah.
it's you, Kim.
Okay, well, Jim, you said at the time Justin.
Yeah.
Kevin, you said it used to be Kim Raver. She's a big caffeine drinker. I have to cut myself off at noon, otherwise I'll be up all night. But she'll still be drinking it at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
Like, yeah,
I
do
don't
you
know
want an
how
espresso?
you
I
do
just made an
that.
espresso. You want an espresso? I have an espresso. I mean, even Betsy and I talk about coffee.
I mean, what's not to love about a good coffee? Even this morning, I had to go out and find a good coffee.
Can you tell?
Okay, what is the episode that shocked you the most?
Ooh, I'd have to say, oh man, there's so many. I'd have to say probably the Cold Black episode with the munitions shell in the guy. That was an incredible episode. And I think probably a close second would be the active shooter.
Yeah, the active shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the shooting when they put their hands up and you don't know, it looks like, is Patrick on the table? Who's on the table?
Patrick was on the table.
Jesse goes like, everyone put your like the Jesse's
Yeah.
everyone puts their hands up and it looks like someone's dying on the table, right? But they unplugged the thing.
The pull socks off of him.
Yeah, what is it, Meg? You know.
See?
Who was on the table?
Patrick was on the table.
That's right.
Jesse took the pull socks off of his finger, so it would be a flat line.
Yes, I think that was super shocking.
Wikipedia.
I was like, oh my God, he's dying. That was shocking to me.
What about
The shooter
the
episode
sh-
for sure.
yeah.
100%.
That was truly like of all the episodes that I'll go back and rewatch, I cannot rewatch that one because the anxiety. I mean, that's how beautifully well it was done, but it just I've never seen anything like it.
And the actor who played the shooter, he was a wonderful,
Oh,
wonderful
yeah.
character actor. He was such a kind guy.
Michael
Clark.
Michael O'Neill.
Michael O'Neill was it Michael? Yeah, a wonderful actor.
Yeah.
He was so. I remember having conversations with him, and he was devastated playing it, even though he knew it was like an incredible and an important role, and he is the kindest human being. So I mean, it's incredible acting on his part.
Yeah, I think knowing that he was he was tortured by having to play this part, it kind of added in a weird way to his performance. 'Cause, you know.
Do you guys ever go back and rewatch old episodes ever now that it is so readily available?
I caught it in France, and that was a fantastic. Like I turned the television on, and Bailey was speaking fluent French, and I was like, "This is fantastic!" Yeah, it was great.
I've gone back and watched the pilot because I feel like the pilot, like every film student should study the pilot. I just think it's so incredible how it was shot, how they told the story. Like, no wonder the show was such a huge hit. It was just outstanding. So that for me, I've watched many, many, many times.
I mean, yeah, I like to watch the early episodes, the early ones when you know.
When did you realize, Jim, that your life was going to change from this show?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, I've been doing this thing a long time, and I've done series before but that had some success and stuff. But I think when after we shot the pilot, and Betsy might remember, they had a dinner for us, and at that time, Jim Perriott was one of our executive producers. Peter Horton, who had directed the pilot, Betsy was there, and all of the core of the original cast was there. And Jim Perriott came up to me, and I never forget this while we're there, and he said, "Jim, you know something?" He said, "You watch." He said that this show is going to change the way folks watch television. And I said, well, I mean, it's a hospital show. I mean, come on. But he said, no. He said, you watch what happens. And he said, your life will not be the same after this. And sure enough, we aired the pilot, and it's hard to describe. It went to another stratosphere after that. And that's when I kind of said, okay, yeah, I guess I'm going to be sticking around for a while. You know, yeah.
840 episodes.
Yes.
Wasn't it like 40 million viewers?
Super Bowl
episode?
The Super
What was
Bowl
that?
episode.
Which is
That's the Cold Black
unheard of.
episode. It was almost 40 million. Something I think Betsy was Super Bowl. Yeah.
I love that you both, but so far it's been brought up the Super Bowl episode and then the episode where Owen chokes Christina, because when I asked Shonda Rhimes what is the episode that shocked her the most, she said the PTSD episode when Owen chokes Christina, because a lot of people, you know, were going to be very upset with Owen, and they knew that was a big risk. And then she also said the Super Bowl episode shocked her the most because we weren't sure we could pull off something so big.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting to hear now, because it had already been so successful, and I wasn't surprised at all to hear, but it's amazing. You're in a bubble, I guess. Yeah.
But I think that that's also the key to one of the reasons of the longevity and daringness of Shondaland is that they lean into big, important storytelling, not just to, be big, but for very important and very well supported reasons, and it resonates, and that I think is also, and you know, Meg has continued on with that, and we are telling very important stories that I think need to be heard, but they're also told in a way where we don't back down from them, and I think that that's also, you know, you don't know how it's going to be, but taking the risk to do those big stories, I think have been a part of the success, and also so important.
So true. The last superlative that I was going to ask you guys is, which cast member is always in a good mood for an early 5 a.m. call time? Everybody said the same thing at the time, so I'm curious if this still stands.
It's got to be Chandra.
I would say Jessica Capshaw.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
5
Capshaw.
a.m. I'd say Sandra. Yeah, Sandra was always. Yeah.
Chandra. I said
Chandra.
Chandra.
Yeah, Chandra.
Yeah, Chandra.
Yeah, it was Chandra. That's everybody. Everybody said she was. Last two things before we open this up to audience questions. I was reading a lot of the comments last night after last night's episode. If Caterina was here, I was going to ask her. A lot of people are ready to ship Amelia and Morgan. Is it Morgan? Is it?
Monica.
Monica, thank you. So what can you tease coming up as we head towards the finale at the end of May?
You're asking me?
They'll take your lead, but I think you have to go first, Meg.
You know, Monica was such a great addition this season. I felt like the character really challenges a lot of our doctors, and I find her also, you know, it was very important when we brought on a new ped surgeon that we wanted this new ped surgeon to be very different from Arizona, because Arizona is such an iconic ped surgeon as well. And you know, all I can say is she's going to keep challenging our doctors, and episode 8 is a really amazing episode for that character. So that's what I'll say.
Was the one that aired last night, was that
6.
7 or 6?
6.
Okay, 2006. Okay, so what else can you guys tease for the rest of the season for your characters?
What are you allowed to tease, Meg?
Nothing.
Sum up the finale in one word, because finales scare us sometimes on this show.
Well, one thing I can say, like heading towards the end of the season, is that we're still like, and I think this is because it's really a shorter season of 10 episodes because of the strikes. We really pay off what we started in episode 1, I feel like, at the end of the season, if that makes sense.
We're not getting much, are we?
I mean, with the interns being in trouble, and with Meredith making this decision to do secret research, all those things kind of come to a head.
I'll say Meg did an incredible job of really weaving the beginning of the season, and it really pays off in the finale, and it is really quintessential, dramatic and funny, and like reveals and edge of your seat and sort of more cliffhangers. It's fantastic.
Yay! Well
Fiery.
done.
It's a fiery episode.
Fiery.
Things
So
get
the one
burned
word
down.
you asked for, one word, right?
Yeah, fiery's good.
Word. Yeah.
Fiery episode.
Okay, so finally then, at least for me, at the end of the day, what do you think Grey's has taught people to embrace?
Themselves.
Yeah, that's a good way to. I think the show, and I know this is cliche, I hope, but I think the show helped us to understand what really storytelling is about. I think Shonda was amazing in her foresight in determining what audiences were going to be able to digest moving forward. The fact that our cast was so diverse, and folks throw that term around loosely, but at the time, the show was so diverse that it even kind of changed the way casting looked at how they prepared to do a show. And a lot of that was credited to Shonda and the writers and stuff. And it tells this wonderful story of these people, and you want to take this journey with these folks. And she didn't hold back in showing them when they were ugly, and when they're heroic, and it made you say, hey, you know what, I know this person, you know, and in a high pressure job like they were, and the fact that they were still very human, and at the end of the day, you wanted to say, okay, I want to see what happens next with this person's life, and up until that point, stuff had been status quo in terms of how you watch television, and I'd like to think that we kind of helped change that dynamic.
Absolutely. Camilla, do you want to?
I was just thinking about the mental health journey of every single character. And I hope that watching our show, people feel less alone in their own mental health journey. I mean, we talk a lot about trauma on our show, and things get messy, and there's a lot of healing that the characters end up doing, and then there's a lot of trauma that ends up happening again. And I just think that I hope that out there people, can see themselves in some of those journeys.
I forget, did you guys answer yet?
And I mean, you know, I think the obvious one, I think we're all of us in this era of life is trying to find a work-life balance, you know, and it feels like sometimes in America it's really too much work, and these people are in this show are so overworked, and the struggle we see them have to go through to try and find a work-life balance is, I think, a lot of where the really great stuff in the show sits. And I think, you know, sometimes they get it right and sometimes they get it really wrong. And I love the fact that we get things wrong, you know, on the show, and these characters get things wrong, and they cheat and they do bad things. I remember Shonda Rhimes, when my character cheated on Sandra Oh, I was like, oh no, people, and she said, everybody cheats, Kev. You know, everybody does bad things. Everybody does, you know.
That sounds like her. That sounds like her.
But she was just like, don't be scared of it. She had this ethos of like, don't be scared of the darker side of just trying to find the balance of our lives, you know. And it's just really bold and really brave storytelling.
I think that's one of my favorite things is that, you know, in Hollywood for a long time it was about the perfectionism and portraying perfect people or evil people. And I think that's very hard to see that and then try to live your life like that, because it's nothing like that. So I love that, yes, we're in the medical world, but it uses these patients who come in who are really just trying to do their best and live their lives, and then it reflects in the medical personnel of that we're all just really trying to get through. And there are incredible hero moments, and then there are some really dark moments where your character is really messing up and really having strong. I had a monologue once that was so filled with vitriol and anger and hate, and I was terrified of it. And Shonda, again, like, had the foresight of, she was like, lean into it full on and it will pay off. And you know, it's like you gotta fall out of like the window of the plane and trust. And with someone like Shonda, you really can, because you go way out there, and then it comes back in such a beautiful way, because then there is a moment that the writers do such an incredible job of like a moment where that character then shines. And I think also that's what's so relatable, right? There's moments that we want to shine and we want to look up to something, and then there's very real moments where, you know, Teddy is messing up terribly, and I think that that's a very human condition, and I think that that also is what makes it so relatable, and why our fans are such an incredible fan base, because it's just sort of this very human thing that we're all trying to get through.
Meg, I'm going to let you have the last word on that.
I think the show also encourages people to embrace feeling. I feel like today's world, people are constantly we're constantly being told to kind of shove our feelings inside, which I feel like is so devastating. But when you watch Grey's, and it allows people, Grey's and other shows as well, but we truly allow people to feel and relate when, so much of today's world, you can't do that. And I hope that our show frees that up for people. and just the mental health identification for people, and our characters have been put through so much, but I feel like audience members watching what they're going through, it really helps them feel seen and know that they're not alone. One of the seasons that I think we did so well, even though I know it was quite a different season for us, was the COVID year, because everyone was feeling the same pain, but not quite the same pain that our healthcare workers were feeling. And I wanted to honor that. So, I mean, we all wanted to honor that so much. And I feel like y'all did such an amazing job portraying what people were going through. But yeah, again, it speaks to trauma. Like, I don't know if our doctors will ever fully get over what happened. And I feel really proud of that season.
As you should. You should be so proud of what you have done in your first year as showrunner too. And I can't wait to see what else you continue to do. All of you. The commitment, the dedication, it's truly so profound and exceptional. I can only imagine how many audience questions we have, so we'll try to. Oh yes. Oh, no? Oh no! I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. You guys can all lecture me in the lobby, but we gotta get these guys out of here. So one big
yes.
Thank you, guys.
And I'm so sorry.
Thank you all.
I truly would have. Oh God. You can yell at me too. I thought we were doing that.
I will take the heat.
Anyway.
And if everybody could please just stay in our seats and applaud our beautiful panelists as they exit the stage. You guys can leave your microphones on the stage. And I want to kind of hear some crowd feedback. Who's going to Cowboy Carter on Sunday? You guys can.
Oh, we're going.
Yeah. That's not loud enough. It's Beyonce, you guys. Who's going to Cowboy Carter dance party on Sunday? I don't think Beyonce can hear you at that level. I don't know what you guys are thinking. We've got a lot of great programming coming up this week. We have a panel starting in 30 minutes with the creators of Dr. Death. So if you're in that medical mood, definitely stick around and kind of hit the dark side of procedurals. We also have incredible international content coming up this week. You can see everything you have to choose from on SeriesFest.com. You can yell at me in the lobby. All of those things I've promised you are real. Thank you very, very, very much. Enjoy the rest of your SeriesFest.